The war room on the United Earth Fleet's flagship, Invictus, hummed with the tension of countless negotiators, diplomats, and military advisors. The large holographic display illuminated the faces of those present, showcasing various species from across the galaxy. Each face told stories of triumph, loss, and a relentless struggle for peace. Among them stood Ethan Brooks, a high-ranking officer with an affinity for diplomacy as much as for tactics. The Zenthari delegation will arrive shortly, Commander Rhea Morrison announced, glancing at the overhead clock. We need to make a good impression if we hope to settle this conflict. Ethan straightened his uniform, his mind racing. Commander, do you really think they'll trust us? Every move has been scrutinized, every word analyzed. Trust comes with time, Rhea replied sharply. We have to show them we're serious about peace. Just then, the doors slid open and in walked the Zenthari representatives. Among them, Ethan's breath hitched at the sight of her, Lyra. Her bioluminescent skin shimmered in hues of emerald green and deep violet, a mesmerizing display that resonated with the emotional undercurrent of the room. She moved with a fluid grace, her posture exuding both strength and vulnerability. Welcome, esteemed Zenthari, Rhea said, her voice steadying the atmosphere. We're glad you could join us. Thank you, Commander. Lyra's voice flowed like a melody, drawing Ethan in further. I hope we can find common ground. We all do, Ethan chimed in, unable to keep his gaze from her. Rhea gestured toward the conference table. Let's begin. Our goal today is to draft a peace treaty that respects both our people's rights and aspirations. Lyra nodded, but Ethan could see her uncertainty. What happens if we cannot come to an agreement, she asked, her skin flickering between shades of blue and indigo. Ethan took a step forward. We will keep talking. We owe it to our people to find a resolution, no matter how long it takes. Rhea scanned the room. All right, let's lay our cards on the table. What do the Zenthari need for peace? Lyra exchanged glances with the other Zenthari before speaking. We need assurance that we're not seen as weapons. My people were created for conflict, yes, but we are more than that. We desire the same things as you, a future free of war. Ethan couldn't help but interject. Exactly. I can assure you that I see you as more than a tool for battle. It's crucial for both sides to see each other as individuals, as beings with emotions. Lyra studied him, her irises shifting from violet to a soft pink. You truly believe that? I do, Ethan said, meeting her gaze. What I see in you is strength, intelligence, and a will to create something better. Why wouldn't I treat you as such? The conversation flowed naturally as they explored shared values, but there was still an undercurrent of doubt hanging in the air. Rhea set the agenda for the day and they began to discuss terms. Minutes turned to hours as dialogue oscillated between hope and skepticism. By midday, Lyra showed signs of fatigue, her glowing skin dimming slightly. Ethan noticed and softened his tone. Would you like to take a break? We can resume later, he suggested. That might be wise, Rhea added. We don't want anyone to feel overwhelmed. Lyra inclined her head, appreciative of the consideration. Thank you, but it's also important to me that I contribute my thoughts. As they stepped out onto the terrace that overlooked the Earth's vibrant blue oceans, Ethan took a moment to gather his thoughts. The sunlight enveloped them in warmth as he leaned against the railing, catching a glimpse of Lyra through the shimmering holographic landscape. Is it strange to be out in the open like this? Ethan asked, breaking the silence. Lyra peered over the edge, her skin shifting to bright shades of orange. It's a little disconcerting. I've trained to be ready for battle, not to experience the serenity before me. Ethan chuckled lightly. You know, you can embrace the tranquility without fear. I'm sure your people will understand. Easier said than done, she shot back, though there was a hint of a smile on her lips. Can we truly overcome our past? He turned to face her. It starts with us. Understanding who we both are. Lyra looked him square in the eyes, an intensity lingering. You see me as a person? Not just as what I was made to do. Absolutely, Ethan replied, feeling a pull between them. Your history doesn't define who you are now. She tilted her head, contemplating his words. And you, how can I be sure I'm not simply a curiosity to you? A challenge to be overcome. Her vulnerability tugged at him, and he stepped closer. That's not how I see you at all. I'm drawn to you because you're brilliant and layered. I want to understand more. With time, I believe we can both learn from each other. The wind rustled softly, breaking the stillness as their gazes locked. For a moment, the outside world faded into insignificance. Ethan could feel the air thrum with unspoken energy. He wanted to reach out to bridge the distance between them. Just then, a loud clang from the war room broke the moment, sending them both back into the present. Ethan broke eye contact reluctantly, but not before sensing the lingering tension in the air. "Shall we?" he finally asked, gesturing back toward the room. "Yes," Lyra replied, her voice steady but her eyes still reflecting their earlier connection. As they walked back inside, Ethan knew that this was only the beginning. They would have to navigate the intricate dance of diplomacy, but he felt certain that their bond had been forged in the delicate interplay of words, emotions, and undeniable chemistry. Together, they would discover the true essence of peace. Chapter 2: Disarming Truths. The days that followed were a whirlwind of sessions, discussions, and debates in the sprawling conference room aboard the Invictus. Tension was palpable, but Ethan's resolve to build a bridge with Lyra only grew stronger. They met regularly, each meeting a step closer to understanding. Ethan leaned back in his chair, glancing around the room. "All right, let's tackle the next point," he suggested, looking at a holographic display featuring potential compromise terms. The Zenthari representatives were seated across the table, their expressions serious. "Many of my people worry that any treaty would undermine our sovereignty," said Varric, the lead Zenthari negotiator, his skin shifting to a deeper blue. "We have our own ways of governance." Ethan nodded. "We respect that, Varric. But peace can only work if both sides find common ground. The proposal allows for shared oversight without compromising your independence." Lyra leaned in, her luminescent skin flickering between shades of green and yellow. "What do you mean by shared oversight? It sounds like control rather than cooperation." Ethan appreciated her candor. "It's not about control. Think of it as an advisory role. A framework to ensure both our interests are safeguarded." "Why would you want to safeguard our interests?" Varric questioned, skepticism evident in his voice. "I've seen what happens when misunderstandings prevail," Ethan replied, steeling himself. "I'd rather focus on mutual growth than on positioning for another conflict." "There's still war in your past," Varric pointed out. "Why should we trust your intentions?" Lyra interjected, her voice steady. "Ethan's arguments have been consistent. Perhaps a deeper understanding of humanity's motives will bring us closer." Ethan turned to her, feeling a flicker of warmth in his chest. "Yes, exactly. I'd like to share stories, both good and bad, so you can see past history." The room buzzed as the other Zenthari murmured, considering his suggestion. Varric finally nodded, albeit grudgingly. "If we share stories, it could lead to greater transparency." "Let's begin then," Ethan said, leaning forward. "I'll start. My family experienced loss during a time of conflict. My father was a soldier, and I grew up hearing stories of bravery, but also of fear." Lyra's eyes softened as she listened. "What happened to your father?" Ethan sighed, memories flooding back. "He was killed during an ambush. Our family was torn apart. But instead of fueling hate, I learned that understanding others who suffered could provide clarity. That's what drove me to this role." "That's sad," Lyra replied, her glowing skin dimming with empathy. "But why did you choose to negotiate with us?" "I believe in the possibility of reconciliation," he answered, taking a breath. "And I saw the light in you, Lyra. When I look at you, I don't just see a weapon. I see potential." Her colors brightened at his words, shimmering vibrantly. "I wish more humans thought like you." Ethan gestured back to the Zenthari. "Your turn. Share your stories." Varric looked taken aback. "You want our vulnerabilities?" "Absolutely. We need the connection to build trust," Ethan insisted. "I'm not looking to exploit your weaknesses, I want to understand why you feel the way you do." After a moment of hesitation, Varric began. "I once led a battalion. We lost many good soldiers in a misguided skirmish. That betrayal still haunts me. It's hard for Zenthari to view humans as anything more than the enemy who orchestrated the conflict." "That's a heavy load to carry," Ethan acknowledged. "But understanding each other's history can help lift that burden." "Can we work from here?" Lyra chimed in. "Yes, our people have been shaped by war. The fear of being seen as weapons lingers. But isn't it time we change the narrative?" "How do we change it?" Varric asked, a flicker of interest breaking through his stern demeanor. Ethan leaned in again. "By showing each other, through action, that we can be something different together. We can build something positive. But it requires all of us to put those fears aside." The discussion continued, evolving from stories to personal experiences. Hours passed, and Ethan found himself increasingly captivated by Lyra's intellect and perspective. She shared tales of Zenthari culture, showcasing their artistry and crafts, which inspired awe in him. "Your people are remarkable," Ethan remarked. "Why have you been hidden away, only portrayed as warriors?" "Survival," Lyra answered quietly. "When we were created, we were meant to be weapons. Society forgot that we have souls, dreams, and creativity. Many of my people are afraid to embrace those aspects because they fear judgment." Ethan paused, contemplating her words. You deserve to be seen and heard. A flicker of hope danced in Lyra's eyes. And you, Ethan, are one of the few willing to look beyond our past. It gives me hope. As the day wound down, Ethan glanced around the room. The tension that had previously dominated the atmosphere had lessened. He stood up, feeling the energy shift. How about a break? We could all use some fresh air. Lyra looked intrigued. You mean, like, outside? Exactly. Let's take this to the observation deck. The view of Earth is stunning from there, Ethan said, a smile breaking across his face. Rhea raised an eyebrow but decided to follow. All right then. Fresh air it is. As they made their way to the deck, Ethan walked alongside Lyra. It felt comforting, almost natural. You know, I've always thought that sometimes the best negotiations happen outside of the big table, he mused. This is true, Lyra replied, glancing at the bright blue globe hanging in the distance. It's easy to forget the beauty of what we're fighting for while we're in the middle of our conflicts. The observation deck opened up, revealing a magnificent view of swirling clouds over Earth's surface. Colors exploded across the sky, painting a canvas that felt alive. Wow, Lyra breathed, mesmerized. It's beautiful. Ethan turned to her, seeing the awe in her expression. And so are you, Lyra. Just remember that. Her luminescent skin flushed a deep red and she looked at him, caught off guard. Thank you, Ethan. That means a lot to me. Let's make sure the world sees both of us as we are, he said, boldness surging within him. Yes, she agreed, her voice resonating with determination and warmth. The two stood side by side, sharing a moment of understanding that felt like an unspoken agreement to continue exploring this new connection, both for themselves and for their respective peoples. As the sun dipped below the horizon, they knew the path ahead was fraught with challenges, but they were no longer alone. Together, they would face whatever came next, drawing strength from shared stories and a budding kinship that blurred the lines between species. Chapter 3, Breaking Barriers. Ethan awoke to the gentle hum of the ship's engines. Sunlight filtered through the porthole, casting a warm glow in his quarters. It had been several days since he first met Lyra, and each encounter left him feeling more intrigued by her spirit and mind. The negotiation sessions had grown more comfortable, with laughter exchanged between serious discussions, but there was still so much to discover about her. After a quick breakfast, Ethan made his way to the conference room. He spotted Lyra already there, pacing as she studied the holographic models displaying their proposed peace treaty. The colors of her skin fluctuated, revealing the myriad emotions she was processing. Morning, Lyra. He called out, a smile spreading across his face. She turned, her skin shifting to a lighter shade. Good morning, Ethan. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around some of these terms. It's more complex than I anticipated. The complexity is the challenge of diplomacy, he replied, moving closer. But it's worth it. Remember, we're creating something that could reshape our futures. And yet, I worry that our past will overshadow our attempts, she confessed, fidgeting with the edge of a holographic panel. I understand that concern, Ethan said, leaning against the table. But we can't let history dictate our possibilities. Let's focus on what's next. I've been thinking, Lyra said, pausing for effect. We should not only draft a treaty but also engage our people. They need to see us collaborating, building trust together, especially if we want to change perceptions. That's a brilliant idea, Ethan agreed, eyes lighting up. How about an exchange program? We could have select members from each side visit the other's home planet, experiencing culture firsthand. It could break down walls. Visiting the Zenthari homeworld? Lyra asked, her eyes wide. It's dangerous for humans. There are still extremists who believe we should be eradicated. Then we'll have to show them that we're here for peace, Ethan said firmly. It'll take courage, but if we believe it's possible, others will too. True, she mused, her skin glowing with appreciation. But we'll need your people to be on board with this. It'll require a lot of trust. Let's present it at the next session. I can help you prepare, Ethan offered. Thank you, Ethan. She smiled, a genuine joy radiating from her. It feels promising already. As they dove back into their work, the atmosphere between them shifted. The warmth in their exchanges grew more palpable, a blend of professional collaboration and personal connection. Later that day, during a break, Rhea entered the conference room. How's the progress? She asked, arms crossed, a slight grin hinting at her serious demeanor. Actually, we were just discussing an exchange program, Ethan replied, only half joking. You know, to foster goodwill. Rhea raised an eyebrow, intrigued. That's ambitious. Will the council approve? If we frame it correctly, I think they will. Ethan replied confidently, glancing at Lyra, who nodded in affirmation. Very well, I'll support you, Rhea said, her tone firm. Just remember to tread carefully. There are still dissenters on both sides. Once Rhea left, Lyra turned to Ethan. It's strange how quickly relationships have shifted, isn't it? One moment we're enemies and the next. We're allies, he finished for her. Or maybe something more? Lyra's skin glowed an unmistakable deep red. You're right, it's confusing. But it feels exciting too. I'm glad you feel that way, Ethan said, his voice softer. I want to know you truly. Not just the Zenthari delegate but Lyra. She looked down for a moment, gathering her thoughts before meeting his gaze again. What if I share something personal? It might help you understand who I really am. Absolutely. I'd love to hear, Ethan encouraged, settling back in his chair. Very few know this, she began, her voice low. I was not always a delegate or a negotiator. I was raised in training facilities, primarily for combat. I had versions of myself perfected for war, but I yearned for exploration, for beauty. Ethan felt a pang of empathy. That's a heavy burden to carry. Lyra nodded slowly. When I defied those expectations to pursue diplomacy, many saw me as a traitor to my own kind. Even now, there are extremists in my community who believe I should be fighting alongside them. You're strong to follow your heart, Lyra, Ethan said. That takes courage. I admire that. A comfortable silence enveloped them, and Ethan felt a strong urge to break it. How do you feel when you're creating instead of destroying? Her face lit up, colors dancing vibrantly. It's exhilarating. When I'm painting or sculpting, I find a sense of liberation. It's like I become part of something greater than myself. Can you show me? He asked, his curiosity piqued. Show you? She repeated, her skin oscillating in uncertainty. You mean? Yes. I'd love to learn about your art, he urged. It sounds incredible, like a window into your soul. Lyra weighed his words, then smiled softly. All right, I'll take you to one of our art studios. You'll have to promise to keep an open mind. I promise, he replied, grinning from ear to ear. When can we go? How about after our next meeting? It might provide the perfect release if things get tense. Deal, he agreed, feeling excitement pulse through him. As they continued their work, Ethan caught himself stealing glances at Lyra. The exchange between them was deeper than he expected. He felt a connection that didn't just stem from their roles as negotiators but as individuals wanting something more, something beyond their past constraints. Later that afternoon, the negotiators reconvened. The atmosphere was charged with expectation. Ethan presented the idea of the exchange program, carefully framing it in terms of mutual benefits and cultural enrichment. Varric listened intently, his deep blue shades fluctuating. What if something goes wrong during these exchanges? He questioned skeptically. What assurances do we have that your people will respect our safety? Ethan met Varric's gaze with unwavering determination. That's why we would plan everything meticulously, ensuring safety protocols and emphasizing respect for boundaries. We can even select volunteers who are committed to peace. Lyra chimed in. Trust grows from understanding. If we're committed to this, we must take the first step. Several members of the Zenthari delegation began to murmur among themselves. Some appeared skeptical, but Lyra's assertiveness inspired a shift in tone. I think this is a step worth taking. Another Zenthari delegate finally spoke, their skin dancing with colors of optimism. Our people need. We did, she said, her complexion radiant with excitement. Who knew we could break through so many barriers? Hopefully, this is just the beginning, he replied, his gaze lingering on her. Let's keep eyes on the future. Together, she stated, voice firm. Together, he echoed, feeling the bond between them grow warmer. A new chapter unfolding amid hope and trust. Soon, they would delve into the world of art, each brushstroke and nuance revealing deeper truths, entwining their destinies one experience at a time. Chapter 4. Shadows of the Past. Weeks passed as plans solidified for the exchange program, and Ethan found himself anticipating their journey into creativity and understanding. He was eager to learn about Zenthari art, while Lyra appeared invigorated by the prospect of sharing something so personal with him. The day had finally arrived. Ethan stood by the airlock, excitement coursing through him. Lyra approached, her bioluminescent skin glowing in vibrant hues, betraying her nerves. Are you ready for this? She asked, her voice a mix of eagerness and uncertainty. I am. Just a little apprehensive, he admitted with a grin. But in a good way. Lyra smirked. You humans seem to love the concept of in a good way. Hey, it's the same energy you Zenthari display when you create, Ethan shot back. It's all about perspective. As they boarded the small shuttle that would take them to Lyra's home world, Ethan felt a blend of thrill and trepidation. The hatch sealed shut, and a moment later, they were ascending through the atmosphere. Tell me more about what to expect, he requested, trying to ease his own nerves. Lyra leaned back, her gaze thoughtful. Zenthari art varies greatly. We express our emotions and experiences through color and form. It's a cathartic process for many of us. What was it like for you? Ethan pressed. What does art mean to you? She pondered for a moment. It was a form of escape. During my training, art was a way for me to process the chaos around me. I created pieces that reflected my dreams, my fears, and my struggles. It helped me find pieces of myself. That sounds incredible, he said, sincerity in his tone. I can't wait to see what you've created. As they entered Zenthari space, the vista outside transformed dramatically, vibrant colors exploding as they approached their destination, an iridescent planet covered with multifaceted structures glimmering in the light. Wow, Ethan breathed, staring at the breathtaking landscape. It's stunning. This must be an artist's paradise. It is, Lyra said, smiling. You should see her galleries. Once they landed, the sight of the open landscape took Ethan's breath away. Ethereal plants fluttered, shifting colors with the slightest breeze. Lyra led him toward a gleaming structure resembling an expansive art studio. Inside, walls were adorned with intricate murals and sculptures, each piece bursting with emotion and creativity. This is what I wanted to show you, Lyra began, pride evident in her tone. Welcome to my world. Ethan stepped further inside, captivated. This is amazing. Each piece feels alive. Let me introduce you to a few works, she offered, walking him around. This piece reflects the struggle between creation and destruction. Ethan studied a sculpture made of translucent materials. You can almost feel the tension between the forms. It's like they're fighting to break free. Lyra's colors shifted to a deeper shade of blue, revealing her approval. Exactly. It's an expression of my journey both as a Zenthari and as an individual. Is that tough to share? He asked. It was once, she confessed, her voice lowering. But I've come to see it as a form of healing. We need to confront our histories, right? Ethan nodded, seeing her vulnerability. That's powerful, Lyra. Thank you for sharing that. Let's create something together, she suggested suddenly, a glint in her eyes. Create, he echoed, taken aback. Yes. I want to show you how we express ourselves, she said enthusiastically. It'll be fun. I'm not much of an artist, he admitted sheepishly. Everyone has creativity within them, she reassured him. You just need to channel it. Come on. Lyra led him to a large workspace filled with tools and vibrant materials. What do you feel when you look at all this? Ethan scanned the room, absorbing the energy. Excitement. Maybe a bit of fear. Fear is a part of creation, she explained. Let's embrace it. Grab those colors. He picked up a few tubes of paint, looking at her curiously. What's first? Free expression, she replied, her voice rhythmic. Let whatever you feel guide you. Ethan squeezed a bit of paint onto a canvas, feeling hesitant. Like this. Exactly. Just let it flow, she encouraged, watching him with excitement. Taking a deep breath, he began to swirl colors, allowing his feelings to direct his movements. Gradually, strokes turned into shapes as he lost himself in the essence of creation. Lyra, picking her own colors, began to sculpt a piece alongside him. Now tell me, what are you expressing? I think, a mix of vulnerability and connection, Ethan said, stepping back to admire his work. Like navigating the unfamiliar. Look at you. You're a natural, she praised, her colors flashing with joy. I guess this isn't so bad, he admitted, feeling emboldened. As they continued to work, their conversation drifted to deeper topics. What about your past? What challenges do you still face, Lyra? Ethan asked gingerly. She paused, her colors dimming slightly. There are always shadows lingering. Many people still perceive me as the weapon I was built to be. I confront that idea constantly. No matter how many times you've proven yourself, he stated. They still cling to the image? Exactly, she said with a sharp glance. It's infuriating. I fought for this change, and yet there's still so much to overcome. Ethan sighed, feeling the weight of her struggle. You're not alone in that. Many of us deal with the shadows of our pasts, but it becomes a part of who we are. She looked at him, her eyes shimmering. How do you confront your past? Honestly? I talk about it like I'm doing now, he replied. I try to express it instead of hiding. I've learned that sharing wounds can lead to healing. Lyra weighed his words thoughtfully, color dancing across her skin. You make it sound simple. It's not, he admitted, glancing at her canvas before turning back. Sometimes you need to be brave just to speak up. At that moment, a loud clang echoed through the studio, snapping them back to reality. They turned to see a group of Zenthari artists entering, their expressions curious. You were right. They're going to love this, Lyra said, her excitement unmistakable. Should we invite them to join? Ethan asked, a little nervous. Absolutely, she exclaimed. The more, the merrier. The artists gathered around them, eyes widening as they saw the creations unfolding. Lyra introduced Ethan, each word filled with pride. This is Ethan, a true ally. We are creating art together. The artists looked impressed, engaging with Ethan and asking him about his experience so far. The conversations flowed easily, blending laughter and admiration. Show us what you've made, one artist called out. Ethan flushed, chuckling. It's nothing like what you're all capable of, but I'll give it a shot. As he pointed out the elements he had crafted, he spoke about the emotions behind each brushstroke. The Zenthari artists listened intently, their colors shifting as they expressed their appreciation. Lyra chimed in, further explaining their shared experience and how art has the power to create connections. Art can change the world, she proclaimed passionately. It allows us to dismantle perceptions and put our stories on display. Ethan felt a swell of pride. And it reminds us that we all have a voice. The artists began to mingle, discussing techniques and sharing their own stories. Laughter filled the room, breaking the barriers previously established by histories of conflict. As he watched Lyra interact with them, Ethan felt an overwhelming gratitude for this moment. It was more than just art, it was a testament to what they could create together. Later, as the sun began to set, casting radiant colors through the studio, Lyra turned to Ethan, her eyes sparkling. Thank you for being open to this journey. Thank you for showing me, Lyra. Your world is more remarkable than I ever imagined, he replied. Together, we can continue to forge legends, she said, firm yet gently. I'd like that, he responded, feeling a warmth glow between them. Let's keep pushing the boundaries. And we will, she smiled, radiating warmth. Trust me, the best is yet to come. The shadows may always linger, but in this moment, with the shared laughter and vibrant colors around them, it felt as if they had begun to draw out the light. Chapter 5, The True Weapon. The morning sun spilled golden light into the studio, illuminating the vibrant canvases that had emerged from the collaborative art session. Ethan wandered around, his heart light as he reminisced about the laughter and stories shared. Just days earlier, he had met Lyra, a being bound by chains of expectation and legacy, but now he saw her as a vibrant force of nature. Lyra was busy arranging the completed pieces for display, her colors shimmering like a living canvas. Ethan, you have to see how this arrangement looks, she called excitedly. Ethan trotted over, admiring her artistic instinct. Wow. You've really brought everything together beautifully. The colors pop against the backdrop of the studio. Thanks. I thought we could create a visual narrative of our experiences together, she explained, gesturing to different pieces. This one represents the challenges we face, while this one is more about connection. He looked over the pieces she pointed out, feeling the weight of the emotions woven into each artwork. It's incredible how art can speak without words. Exactly, she said, a soft smile on her face. Just like our journey. So much has changed since we started this. Ethan nodded, suddenly serious. But communication is still essential. I worry that not everyone in our delegations will understand our vision for this exchange program. Lyra's luminescent colors dimmed momentarily. You're right. Some might still see us as just negotiators or warriors. It's frustrating. I want them to see us as people. Then let's show them, he said determinedly. We can stage an exhibition, right here. Invite everyone to witness what we've created together. A flicker of excitement danced in Lyra's eyes. An exhibition? That's a brilliant idea, Ethan. At the very least, it could serve as a backdrop for our next round of discussions, he added, feeling more energized. When they see the results of our collaboration, maybe it will spark those connections we need. Yes. I can focus on the art and you can handle logistics, she said, enthusiasm radiating from her. Sounds like a plan, he replied, his pulse quickening. Let's get started. As they worked through the day, Ethan drafted invitations while Lyra finalized the lineup of artworks. Over time, their initial nervousness melted away into a rhythm fueled by shared purpose. They laughed and teased each other, exchanging playful banter. Have you ever tried to paint with tentacles? Lyra asked, her skin shimmering with laughter. I've got plenty of practice doing that with my kind. I'll take your word for it, Ethan chuckled. I'll stick with my hands. Less chance of making a mess. She giggled. the sound echoing pleasantly in the studio. Well, I'd like to see you try it someday. Maybe we'll have a tentacle artist's invitation someday in the future, he joked back. With their spirits high, they hastily prepared for the exhibition. Invitations sent, colorful banners displayed, and artworks arranged meticulously. The big day arrived. As people gathered in the studio, anticipation filled the air. Delegates from both human and Zenthri sides milled about, assessing the works on display. Ethan's heart raced as he observed the cautious glances exchanged between both groups. Lyra, should we say something? He asked, eyeing the audience. Yes, I believe a few opening words could help set the tone, she agreed, arranging her colors to a vivid blue with determination. Gathering everyone's attention, Ethan stepped forward, clearing his throat. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're here not just to showcase art but to remind you of the power of collaboration. Lyra joined him, her skin shifting to a bright green as she spoke. We created these pieces to share our experiences and emotions. They reflect the journey we've taken together, moving past conflict to build connections. A murmur swept through the crowd. Ethan noticed some faces soften at her words. Art holds the ability to express what we sometimes cannot verbalize, and it's vital in pulling our worlds closer together. Let's take this opportunity to step back from the roles we've been assigned and see each other as individuals, Lyra added. We are not just negotiators or warriors, we are creators, dreamers, and ultimately partners. Ethan glanced around. We hope this exhibition helps start new conversations. By standing united here today, we can share a future free from the shadows of mistrust. He felt an electric awareness grow between them, a blend of revelation and kinship that pulsed through the room. There were quiet nods from some of the Zenthri delegation, and he saw a softening in their demeanor. Now, please feel free to explore the pieces, Lyra encouraged, gesturing toward the art. As guests dispersed to examine their creations, Ethan turned to Lyra. That went well. She smiled, her colors brightening. You were passionate. It felt genuine. I could say the same for you, he replied, admiration clear. You have a unique ability to command attention and trust. Thank you, Ethan. It's been a journey, she said, her voice steady. One that I hope can continue. Proudly, they watched as delegates engaged with the art, discussing meanings and emotions associated with each piece. The initial wariness dissipated into curiosity, prompting conversations to flow in unexpected directions. Do you think the colors influence the way we perceive the art? A human delegate posed, pointing to a piece filled with striking reds and yellows. Absolutely, answered a Zenthri artist. Color is part of our language, it embodies emotion. It can change a narrative completely. Ethan leaned toward Lyra. Look at this. Conversations are happening. Wow, she breathed, it's beautiful to witness. I never imagined this would go so well. Just then Varric approached them, a thoughtful expression on his face. You've begun to shift perceptions, Lyra. Thank you, Varric, she replied, her skin shifting from a soft lavender to a confident blue. I think this is only the beginning. Ethan, Varric said, turning to him, you two have contributed immensely to this effort. It's a significant step forward. Thank you, Ethan said, feeling both relief and pride swell in him. Together, we're laying foundations for something meaningful. As the evening progressed, laughter echoed in the studio, conversations deepened, and connections started to form. The art suddenly felt alive, embodying the very transformations occurring around them. Ethan's exhilaration grew as they successfully bridged the gap once believed unbridgeable. Later, as the exhibition began to wind down, Lyra pulled Ethan aside. Can we talk? Of course, he replied, sensing the gravity of her tone. In a quieter corner, she took a breath, her colors shifting toward a deep violet. That was amazing. But it also reminded me of how far I've had to come. Are you okay? He asked slowly, noticing the emotional shimmer in her aura. It's just, my past is always lurking. Even amid success, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Those memories tell me I shouldn't trust what's happening today. Ethan stepped closer, determined to comfort her. But look at the change we're creating. You're not alone in feeling that way. We're all navigating our pasts. I want to believe that, she said, her gaze steadying. I want to believe in this outcome. Then let's continue working together, painting a new narrative. Ethan said firmly, because you are not a weapon, Lyra. You are a person, an ally, and an artist. And I'm here to remind you of that. As their eyes locked, the world around them faded into the background. Ethan stepped a little closer, united in their journey forward, forging connections that transcended their pasts. Together then, Lyra said, a hint of determination returning to her colors. Together, Ethan reaffirmed, feeling settled in this new path. Together, in this space of creativity, they could embrace the future by leaving shadows where they belonged, in the past.